Welcome to another exercise for our WordPress lesson. This is the WordPress plugins exercise, and I'm actually going to break it into a group of different videos. In the first video, what I'm going to do is just go over the overall WordPress plugins exercise itself, explain what plugins are, show you how you can add plugins to your WordPress site. In the future videos, I'm actually going to show you how to use, modify, and manipulate the plugins that we're going to add in this exercise. But I'd like to do those as separate videos so that you can watch them when you're doing that work yourself in your project, because many of those plugins are used for parts of the actual project as you're completing it. So in this exercise, we want to add some plugins to WordPress. Now, as you know, WordPress allows you to create websites. So this is the website that I've been creating with the sample posts that we've done in previous exercises. And WordPress by itself is a very powerful content management platform. It allows us to create some really amazing websites, some really amazing blog sites. But it's also one of the other really powerful things about it is that it's very extensible, meaning that you can add just about anything you can dream of to WordPress to make it more functional, to make it more interesting. There's just a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Chances are, if you say to yourself, geez, I wish my site could do something, there's likely somebody else out there in the WordPress development community who's had the same thought, and they've probably created that kind of functionality. And that functionality is enabled within WordPress through plugins. So in your dashboard, if you go to the plugins folder or plugins section, you will notice that there are already a couple of plugins installed. So if you look on my screen here, you can see that there's an anti-spam plugin. It hasn't been configured yet. You'll notice that it needs to be updated. And if you ever see a plugin that needs updates, you have the ability to read the details, and if you're comfortable with it, you can always click on update and it will update the plugin for you. Because plugins are little software programs, and there are regularly updates or upgrades that are performed on them by their developers. The other one is this Hello Dolly plugin, which is added by default. So both of these are added by default when this installation of WordPress was created. Now, if you don't want a plugin to exist, you can delete the plugin. So I'm going to do that with the Hello Dolly. I'll click on the delete and say OK, and it will delete the plugin. So that code is now no longer part of your WordPress installation. If you want to put it back again, you can go ahead and you can find it and install it again. To add plugins or install plugins into WordPress, as the exercise walks you through, you simply need to go to Add New. And when you go to Add New, you'll notice there is basically like an app store of plugins. This is kind of like the Microsoft App Store or the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And these are plugins that are publicly available. Some of them are completely free. Some of them have basic functionality for free, but you have to pay a subscription fee or pay a purchase fee in order to have full functionality. I wouldn't suggest you install plugins into your WordPress site beyond the ones that we're going to do in this particular exercise, unless you've done a great deal of research and you're really absolutely sure that you want the plugin in your site. Now, I'm not saying don't do it at all. There are some cool plugins that some of you might decide would really fill out your site and make your site even more exciting. But they're not a requirement of the project. And I would not suggest you go off and do some heavy-duty experimenting this close to the end of the semester. But in the future, if you have your own WordPress site or you want to experiment later on, by all means, explore. Now, you'll notice that very much like themes, we have some featured plugins. If we go to popular, we have popular plugins. There are in this list, what have we got? Does it have a number? 52,000 plugins. We have recommended plugins. and we have favorites, and we haven't put any favorites in here yet. Notice that if you're a programmer, you can create your own plugins and you can upload them. So you don't have to purchase them from the App Store. You can actually upload them directly into WordPress if you want. Now, again, you may see some cool stuff in here and you may go, wow, that would be great for me to add to my site. But again, I don't recommend that you add a bunch of plugins. This project has some very specific parameters. And at this late stage, I really don't want to have to rebuild your WordPress site because you installed something that caused everything to blow up on you. So the ones that we're going to work with are proven. We've tested them in other classes, and they will give you the experience you need to understand how plugins work and how you configure them. In the exercise, we ask you to locate and install 3 different plugins. And the graphics here in the instruction file may be a little bit out of date, but notice contact form 7, it's this one that's showing here. It is right here in the popular on mine. Now, if you don't find it in the list, you can click on the search plugins and you can type in contact form 7. And it will search and it should come up and find contact form 7 and other things that have similar or related components. And there are a bunch of things that you can actually add to make contact form 7 even more powerful, like a CAPTCHA, for example, database add-on, a form builder, a redirection. The one we want is this one here. And if you want to learn more about it, obviously you can click on the link here and you can read what contact form 7 is. What it basically does is it provides the ability to quickly and easily create forms on a page in your website. The forms can capture information such as a contact me information page or other information you may want to capture. It can be integrated into your site. And it's very simple and easy to use. There are installation directions. There is an FAQ with documentation. There's screenshots here in the description. To install it, you simply need to click on the Install Now button. So I'll go ahead and do that, and it will install it. Once it's installed, just like when you're working with, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Just like when you're working with themes, you need to activate it. So I'm going to click on Activate. Simply installing it isn't enough. You need to activate it as well. This makes the code active within WordPress. Now I'm going to go back and add another one. This time I'm going to add social icons by WP Zoom. And what I'll do here is I'll do a search WP Zoom, and let's see what comes up. Here we are, social icons widget and block by WP Zoom. So I'll install this one. Well, actually, first I'll take a look at more details, learn more about it. So it helps you quickly add icons with links to your profiles from different social networks. If you recall, in the deliverables for this project, you need to have social icons in your site. This has been upgraded. It now also allows you to put links to social media properties in your posts or on your pages. So it has a block that it will add to the Gutenberg editor. I'm going to install this one as well. And when it's installed, I will activate it. The last plugin I'd like you to search for and install is this one called Landing Page Cat Free. So I'll search for that one, add new, Landing Page Cat Free. Now, a couple of other things that I should point out when you're installing plugins is check down here, things to look for. First of all, make sure it's compatible with your version of WordPress. The other thing you should do is take a look at the number of installations. Now, this one we've used before, but this one I would be, if I didn't know better, I'd be a little perhaps suspicious of this one because it only has about 2,000 active installations. Whereas this one over here has 30,000. This one down here has 40,000. This one only has 10 activations. This one only has 50, 100. The fewer number of activations or installations, the fewer number of people have used it. And then you have to be concerned about whether or not it's stable, whether it works as promised. It's not a very popular application, in other words. You also might want to read some of the reviews if you're not 100% sure. You certainly want to know whether or not you're going to have to pay for things. So I'm going to install this one because it is part of a future exercise. So I'll click on install. And then again, I will click on activate. Now, this last one, landing page cat, when I activated it, you actually notice that it put a landing page menu item down here. You'll notice in this menu as well that there is an upgrade to premium. So there is a premium version of this particular plugin as well. The other plugins didn't add anything to, sorry, I lied. There is a contact form menu item here from the contact form 7 that's been added to your navigation. Now, if you don't want these plugins, if you end up not using them in your site, I would deactivate them and then delete them. There's no need to have the code in your site if you're not using it. So what I've done in this exercise is I've searched for and installed and then activated 3 different plugins. So now the function that these different plugins allow for has been installed into my WordPress installation. The next step, of course, is to actually configure and use them. And I'll leave that for another video.